Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Hiring Right Has Never Been Easier. This is a webinar, and it's going to last approximately 1 hour. You have the content of this PowerPoint presentation in the handout that is in front of you, and the handout also contains an appendix where we have included a number of tools that I'm going to be referring to during the presentation. As well, you have a note section on the right-hand side of your handout where you're going to be jotting down your notes, your ideas, your thoughts, and also questions that you might have, because you're not going to be able to ask me any questions during the presentation, but you will be able to do it at the end of it. We'll have about 15 minutes for a Q&A. So please write down any questions that you have, and we'll try and cover all of them or most of them at the end of this presentation. So that's what we're trying to focus on today. And our goal is for me to assist you in the selection of the most productive and most qualified candidates, the best of the best, for a sales associate position by using a process called SBI, Structural Behavioral Interview, which, as I said to you, is the one that I prefer to use because I find it very effective. The training has been divided into 4 modules. Module number 1, we're going to talk about how to prepare for the structural behavioral interview. Module number 2, how to conduct the interview. Module number 3, how to assess the candidate. And module number 4, how to make the offer. And each one of these modules has a set of steps that we need to take in order to perform those tasks. Before we start with the phases of the selection process, I wanted to have a closer look with you to the structural behavioral interview process and try to identify what is it different about this approach? What makes it so unique and so effective compared to other more traditional approaches? It's no secret that the interview is the key ingredient in selection decisions. However, most traditional interviews are based on subjective impressions rather than objective information. And here we have a number of examples that show you what we mean by subjective interviews. A subjective interview is an interview that relies entirely on the interviewer's gut feelings or first impressions. And here is an example of a subjective interview where the interviewer relies on his or her first impressions. For example, I don't like her hairstyle, she dresses too fancy, she shook my hand too firmly, she's not the person I need. Why should I spend time interviewing her? Or conversely, you might have this kind of situation. I like the way he dresses, he's very trendy, he wears our brands, he's lively and cheerful, he's going to be great for our store. So what's the problem with this kind of approach? The problem is that the interviewer's first impressions or gut feelings are opinions. Now, there's nothing wrong with having an opinion. It's human nature. What's wrong is to rely entirely on these opinions. We need to back up our impressions with factual information about the candidate. Here is another example of a subjective type of approach. It's an approach that relies on the candidate's self-assessment of weaknesses and strengths, likes and dislikes. And here is another example. She says that one of her best strengths is that she's well organized. Perfect. That's exactly what I need. Somebody who is well organized. She says that she loves dealing with customers and that she's very good at it. Oh, I like that. Again, what's the problem with this? A candidate's self-assessment are their opinions about themselves, not descriptions of their job-related behaviors. Nothing wrong with asking the candidate what do you like, what you don't like, or what you think your strengths and your weaknesses are. But again, don't just do that. If you want to do it, but that's not sufficient to help you make an informative decision whether the candidate is the right fit for the job or not. There are at least 5 steps that we need to take to prepare for the interview. And I'm sharing with you this personal experience that I have with preparing for an interview. I know that a lot of managers and a lot of us are very tempted to go into an interview and just start asking questions without any preparation. This is the key phase, the key step that we need to take when we go and interview people for a job. If we don't spend time preparing, we cannot conduct a proper interview and we cannot make a proper selection in the end. Preparing for an interview takes a little bit of time, but in the end, it saves you a lot of time during the interview itself, and it ensures that you make the right selection at the end. So please take the time you need to prepare for it. It might take a little bit of time at the beginning because this is a new technique and it's a new process, but after you learn how to do it, it becomes very quick, and you see how important it is to take this step and to not to skip this stage of the selection process, because it's a fundamental phase. Number 2, now you have your pile of resumes and applications, and you need to start screening all these applications and resumes and need to figure out who are the candidates that you want to meet for an interview. So you do it, obviously, once again, based on the job requirements that you have in the job description. And one very easy technique that you can use to help you out screen them is sort the applications and the resumes into 3 groups. You have your yes candidates, maybe candidates, and no candidates. Of course, the yes candidates are the ones you want to see. The maybe candidates are the ones that you are going to see in case the yes candidates are not going to work out. The no candidates are the obvious misfits, the candidates you don't want to see because their experience and what you read on the resume or the application does not fit the profile for the job. And while you're going through the applications and the resumes, also highlight any information in the resume or application form that you need to verify during the interview. Things like gaps in employment history, too many job changes, overstated qualifications or achievements, understated qualifications or achievements, anything that stands out. Use a highlighter, use a marker, use whatever you want, but just highlight things that you want to check during the interview. Step number 3, prepare the behavioral questions. And now we're going to learn how those questions need to be built for them to be effective. Behavioral questions allow you to get evidence of the candidate's knowledge and skills and if they match the job description. Questions must be open-ended. You've heard this, I'm sure, many times. Open-ended questions allow you to get more information than closed-ended questions. So how does an open-ended question sound like? For example, describe for me a time when. Give me an example of. Can you take me through the steps? Tell me exactly how. Basically, tell me a story about something you did. Questions, the behavioral questions have to be high yield. High yield questions are questions that allow you to uncover multiple skills, which in the end saves time throughout the interview process. If you look at your job description, there are a lot of skills and knowledge that you need to uncover in a relatively short period of time, which is the time of the interview. So the more high-yield the question, the more powerful the question is, which allows you to uncover multiple skills at the same time, the better. And here we have some example of a high-yield question. Let's say that you want to uncover if the candidate has commitment and results orientation, knowledge, and skills. So you'd ask the question, describe the most challenging goal or assignment you ever had and how you achieved or exceeded the desired results. Here is another example. Let's say that you want to find out if the candidate has product knowledge and has any selling skills. So in this case, you could ask them, In your last position as a sales associate, tell me how you answer a customer's objection to the fit of a pair of jeans you were trying to sell them or other apparel item. In this case, as you can see, I'm going to learn something about the selling skills that the candidate has, as well as their product knowledge. So this is a high-yield question that allows me to uncover multiple skills at the same time.